BloombergQuint here in Davos at the World Economic Forum's annual summit, and I have with me Dr. Pawan Goenka of Mahindra & Mahindra. Dr. Goenka, thank you very much for joining us. Let me start by asking you whether you think that the worst is over in the Indian economy. I know you want to talk about Davos. I want to talk about the Indian economy. Whether the worst is over, not just from your industry point of view, but broadly consumption, declines are bottoming out.
Yeah. I think the general belief is that the worst is over. My colleagues in Mahindra and industry colleagues, and we would start to see a climb, but a slow climb.
Okay.
Unless some very destructive measures are done in the budget, which is going to be hard. We are going to see a slow climb, but climb.
What's the data that's giving you this? Because I must say, I'm not questioning your, conviction. The data is so confusing sometimes when you look at it, right? Like we've just seen recent bank credit or credit growth rate data, very, very slow. So we're wondering what sense to make of this.
I think more than data, what I look at is the sentiment in people. And when I say people, I'm not even talking consumers. How our dealers feel. What's the body language when I talk to dealers? How do our own salespeople feel? And the optimism that I see in them in the last 5-6 weeks, I have not seen in the last year and a half.
Okay.
And that's what is giving me the feeling that we are all right. I'll tell you one more thing. In Q4, we have increased our internal volume forecast 3 times.
Wow.
Not a huge number, but all the same increased 3 times, whereas till 6 months ago, we used to decrease 3 times. So that's what is giving me an optimism that probably was there.
And then that's a useful specific, right? Because it's just not, economies are tough to measure
that's
on
right.
feel.
Data can always fool you and can tell you whatever you want to hear.
Exactly. You said, more optimism in the dealer network. We were looking at some of the data between wholesales and retails, right? So I think if you look at the SIAM data and you look at wholesales, there's, a double-digit drop in sales, depending on which category you look at, across passenger vehicles. If you look at the retail data, which is registration data, there's about a 4% drop.
Yeah.
I think the assumption, or rather the conclusion we've reached, is over the last year and a half, the bulk of the auto slowdown problem seems to be overstocking in the previous year and then destocking from the inventory side. Would you agree with that now that we've had some time to look back and sort of figure out what the issue was?
Overstocking is not something that was done by design. Yes,
no,
you're
sure,
right.
I understand.
Yes, you're
who
right.
would do that by design?
But it's
just optimism or expecting
because there's a sudden slowdown. And when there's sudden slowdown in the industry, then all the plans that have been based on a certain volume growth go all haywire, right? And manufacturers are not able to stop production quickly enough because there's a whole backward linkages that you have to not end up with a lot of inventory. But I must say that the inventory for the whole industry, not just for Mahindra, going into this quarter is about the lowest that I have seen in a long, long time.
Okay. The reason why I'm even dwelling on all of this is because it gives us a sense of what went wrong maybe, and therefore what can be corrected in the next 6, 8, 10 months for the industry to get back on its feet.
But let me just point out that a 4% degrowth in retail is not a good news. So we cannot say it's all because of overstocking.
No. I'm not suggesting that contraction of 4%.
There are many factors that have gone into the slowdown. Yeah. Only one of which is overstocking that happened in about a year ago.
And what would you think the other factors are?
The biggest factor is the increased cost of transaction for the consumer. Again, there are many factors that have contributed to it, but that's the single biggest factor why people are shying away from buying a vehicle, 1. And 2, some kind of confusion about BS4, BS6.
So should we buy now? Should we wait and buy later?
Should we buy later? Will my vehicle be allowed to be registered after?
Will it become redundant?
I don't know why, because there's absolutely zero constraint on using any BS4 or BS3 or BS2 vehicle, which has been purchased before 31st March 2020.
Correct.
And therefore the confusion is
And in fact, one would have thought that some of the sales would get advanced because BS6 will bring in higher costs, right?
We are beginning to see the signs of that now.
Now you're seeing people say, okay, 3 months mein badh jayega, so let's move and buy something.
So I had mentioned in a TV interview about a month ago that in month of March, rather than discount on BS4, there'll be premium on BS4.
Okay.
And I think we're heading to that because most manufacturers were very conservative in how much BS4 vehicles to make. And therefore, BS4 stock is quickly running out.
Okay. So the second half of this financial year, which is FY20, you were expecting some recovery in both tractor sales.
I've never seen so much sunshine.
I know, isn't that lovely? Yeah, well, I think they heard they noticed your optimistic mood on the recovery in auto sales. But you were expecting recovery in tractor sales, and you were expecting better performance from the UV category. Does that hold? Is that something that you would like to, in fact, up because the mood's changed?
No, so tractor sales are still down. They're down by about 11-12% for the industry in the first 9 months. This fourth quarter, we do see some uptick happening, but not enough to make up for the loss of the first 9 months.
Okay.
So therefore, we're going to end up with roughly a 10% decline in the tractor industry. I would expect that once the Rabi crop revenue starts coming in, which should be good,
yes,
we will see again then a pickup happening in about June-July time frame.
Okay.
Something in February, March, but then bigger one in June, July.
So FY21 will be much better than FY20, right, Dr. Goenka? I mean, you'll be over the BS6 hump, hopefully. I think the sentiment will have recovered a little bit. Growth will look better, thankfully, only because of base effect, if nothing else. And I'm assuming you've got new product launches that you all have spoken about in the past.
Yes.
In the second half of next year, right?
There are 2 or 3 sort of unknowns that could sort of put a dampener. So generally, what you said is true. Okay. We do expect FY21 to be better than FY20, but we still don't know what will be the overall impact of BS6 price increase. Okay, and whether the consumers will definitely delay their buying somewhat, whether it's 2 months, 3 months, whether it's 6 months, 9 months, or whether they say, we won't buy. Okay, I hope that it's not a very big impact, but there'll be some impact of that. There would be, in the truck segment right now, the slowdown does continue, and that will not quickly change because that depends on whole economic activity to recover, right? And for us specifically, we have new product launches, like you said, that should give us good volume. So if I was to put in sort of look in the crystal ball, I would definitely say that FY21 will be better than FY20. That I don't think anybody will disagree with that statement. How much better? We don't know. And it certainly won't be uniform. Some companies will do much better than others, but everybody should do better than FY20.
Yeah, Dr. Goenka, 2 questions before we get to broader economy budget question, if at all. One is the M&M stock has done worse than most of its peers. How do you view that? I know someone in your leadership position doesn't look at weekly or monthly or quarterly, performance of stock prices, but nonetheless, I'm sure it's somewhere playing on your mind on what you can do strategically. And that connects to my last question. This is your last year of leadership. What is the unfinished agenda for Dr. Pawan Goenka?
So, if you look at 12 months, yes, the share price has not done well. But if you look at a little bit longer time span, then we have done very well. Okay. So last 12 months have been somewhat bad for us.
All data we can check and look.
So data
okay.
can prove anything.
I won't dispute that point.
Data can prove anything that you want. Okay. If I look at 25 years, we are the best performing stock.
All right, fine.
Okay, but having said that, there are 2 or 3 factors that are playing on the minds of consumers or the analysts, because of which our share price perhaps has done worse than the auto index. Okay. One is that we are a predominantly diesel portfolio. Correct. And there's a concern that with the BS6 and higher price of diesel vehicles, will we be impacted more than others? So fair question to ask. What is not understood very well is that we have, over the last 3-4 years, worked very hard to create a good gasoline portfolio. And we already have 2 engines launched. We have a third one to be launched about 6-7 months from now. And therefore, we will have a very strong gasoline portfolio.
So can you give me a percentage breakup or a proportion breakup?
Right now, we are still predominantly diesel.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Right now.
So 90% diesel.
90% diesel.
But you will be, let's say, what percent gasoline in a year or
40-50% for
40-50%
sure.
in a year or 2.
For example, XUV300, where we have petrol and diesel both offering, we have reached about 50-50.
Okay, fine, fair.
So we would get to that point almost all vehicles.
So that's one concern.
Once they understand that we have a very strong gasoline portfolio, sort of WIP, then I think that worry will go over. Second concern is coming from the agri side, okay, because agri slowdown also has an impact on our share price, and for some reason there is a belief that we have no upside potential because we have a very high market share.
Correct.
43-44%. We have the highest profit margin in the industry. So we are paying price for very good performance.
Correct.
In a sense. But I do believe that some of the bets that we have taken in agriculture, which is the international expansion, and that's also a cause of worry right now because most of our international investments yet are not paying off. But these are always long-term bets, and one cannot expect to invest internationally and get a payoff in a year or 2 years. So that's our long-term bet, which will compensate for sort of not too much more headroom for us to grow market beyond the 43-44% market share that we have. And third big worry, which is causing our share price to be subdued, is SsangYong, where the performance in the last 6 to 9 months have been poor. Yeah. Though, strangely, the total weightage of SsangYong price on Mahindra price is very low. But psychologically, it seems to have a bigger impact.
This is your diagnosis of why
there are three factors that I would say why share price.
So let me then come to your last year of leadership. It's been a long, successful stretch at M&M, and I think you've watched this company and led this company grow into, a variety of different segments. What is the unfinished agenda of Pawan Goenka?
There's always...
How much are you going to cram into 1 year?
There's always a lot to do. There's always, if you take the clock back and say, take me back 20 years, I would do many things differently, and that will be true for anyone.
Give me an instance.
I won't be able to, not on TV, but there will be many things that one would wish you did differently, and that will be true for almost anyone,
sure.
not just for me. In the last 1 year, obviously, like you said, that there's no need to cram things because there's a leadership continuity. So people who are going to be running the business in the leadership position are people that I have worked with all through, and it's not like they're going to have a very different agenda than what I did because my agenda was formed by the same team, and therefore there's no reason for me to kind of go into a sprint. We have to continue the pace that we have been continuing. Few things we do more aggressively, not because it is my last year, but because it has become more important in the current situation. So we do more aggressively, but that's about it.
That's it?
That's about it.
So you're going to have an ordinary
I'm going to have an ordinary last year.
Well, I must say this, we don't say this for too many companies, but it's quite refreshing to watch a non-dramatic succession plan. Thank you very much, Dr. Goenka.
Non-dramatic means that we are very well prepared.
That's exactly what I meant. Right. It's lovely to watch a non-dramatic succession plan.
Right.
And I'm sure we'll get a chance to catch up with you after you're done with M&M to find out about all the things that you would have done differently.
3 months from now, what is my last year plan? Maybe I'll have a little bit more to say, but right now I don't see anything significant changing in the last
3 months from now in Mumbai, definitely. Thank you, Dr. Goenka.
All right.
Thanks so much. Bye.